Well, you agree with me that the world is on a standstill fighting the COVID-19 outbreak. And what we have as reports show is that not less than 35,000 confirmed deaths globally is really hitting the news stream. And in Nigeria just yesterday, we had other cases, about 20 new cases confirmed, bringing it to 131 cases in Nigeria. And again, the imminent total shutdown across states is also what will be coming up or popping up on this show. To discuss this with me, I have a senior lecturer in the Department of Biochemistry, University of Benin, and also senior pastor, Grace Vine Chapel, Professor Jerry Olwe. Thanks for coming, Jerry.
It's my pleasure. Good morning, viewers.
Well, looking at the figures before us, 131 in Nigeria, and of course, the poor contact tracing is also a mind-boggling issue. What do you make of this development and how it affects the country?
Well, if you ask me, I probably would begin by saying that the official figures so released is clearly an underestimation of what the real situation probably will be, for the reason you have given. Poor tracing of those that have had initial contact with infected persons and so on and so forth. I would want to say that Nigeria should brace up, because if things are not done, and urgently so, we might have in our hand a situation that is too far, that would have gone beyond our ability to control or to manage in the long run. So I wouldn't want to say that we are proactive right now, because we are actually trying to play the catch-up at the moment. Maybe if we had done the lockdown much earlier, we probably may have been able to reduce this figure as it is right now. But never too late to start, but it means we have to do all we can to ensure that the figures don't rise beyond what we're seeing right now. Because maybe as we talk later, we'll probably begin to discuss things that people did elsewhere.
But there is this argument that the lockdown, the signing of the COVID-19 regulations by the president could not really give access to the president in terms of legality. Some argue in that direction, and some also say that the president has every right to do that because it's an emergency situation. How do you create this balance?
Well, if you ask me, there will always be something for the legal minds to debate, when issues like this come up. I think we should draw a line, first and foremost, between legality and morality. If we're still debating whether or not the president should make such a declaration in the face of obvious realities, then I just think that we're just carrying out some kind of academic debate and argument. I'm also aware that that was not a decision taken unilaterally by the president. That would have been done in consultation with the governors of the states that have been so affected. And if you see you needed to give a legal backing, you then begin to ask yourself, legal backing from who? Like we both know, the National Assembly is on lockdown, completely shut at the moment. So where will you be getting the legal backing from, so to say? And is it because a state of emergency has not been declared? And if that happens, would you be talking about illegal backing from the National Assembly or from where? I think it is also responsibility on the part of government to do what must be done at any point in time to safeguard the lives of Nigerians. That, to my mind, is sacrosanct, and that, to my mind, is most important. Ahead of legality or illegality, first of all, have to consider, would this help the lives of Nigerians? And if the answer is yes, I think in my mind, morality should override legality. Okay,
but there are issues arising basically from the masses that before there is a lockdown or total lockdown, there should be steps and actions taken by government to cushion the effect of the scourge on the citizens. I think you have that direction in your line of thoughts.
Well, the truth is, that would have been the ideal thing to do, and that is what is done in more civilized climes. But we shouldn't forget where we are. we haven't had this before, and we shouldn't deceive ourselves. We do not have a government, as it were, that is these people-oriented, who you would say, okay, before you shut down the system, you have to make, provide some palliatives and all that. If you ask me, that will be asking for the impossible. Our leaders have not, in time past, demonstrated that they can be this humane in terms of mitigating hardship faced by the people. It would have been nice to have this done, but I don't trust that the kind of people we have as our leaders have us so much at heart to be able to do this.
Mm-hmm. So you are looking at the possibility that the citizens may not get these packages, though we hear of this in the president's broadcast that the vulnerable ones in FCT, Lagos, Ogun states will be given. Now, if that starts, it means a lot of others will be left behind. Wouldn't that be a cause for commotion?
I think Nigerians should not be too excited over that particular component of the broadcast.
Really?
Yes, Nigerians should not be too excited.
You mean to say Nigeria should take it with a pinch of salt?
In fact, with extreme cautious optimism. Okay. Reason being this, if you want to say you want to mitigate the effect with respect to those who are vulnerable, then you need first of all to define who are the vulnerable. If you ask me, the average Nigerian workforce, the average Nigerian worker is vulnerable. I mean, if you ask me what's the take-home pay of an average Nigerian worker, I am a professor, and I would say I'm vulnerable. that is the reality on ground. How much does the average Nigerian earn? How do you begin to separate those who are vulnerable from those who are not vulnerable? Except, of course, you're going to begin to look for those who are card-carrying members of some political parties. I do not want us to go in that direction. But how many people, for instance, does the government have in mind, to meet with this kind of mitigating effects, so to say? Well, pronouncements are made, but enforcing them become a different ballgame altogether. And again, begin to ask yourself, how do they intend to implement this? How do they begin to implement? We saw what happened during the traders' money episode, sometime in 2018, 2019. And if you were going to ask now that people put down their names for such mitigation, you are going to be surprised that the crowd you are trying to avoid, you're going to have them all coming around again, scrambling for pittance. Well, we'll watch and see, but I think Nigeria should be very, very cautious. Cautious optimism.
But do you see the imminent shutdown as a way out of this? Because we have various challenges like not having available enough test kits. Nigerians are also saying, well, it seems the test kits available are for the ruling class at the expense of the masses.
Well, okay, let's try to take it one at a time. First and foremost is the shutdown, the way out of it. Yes, one of the ways out of it, because the virus spread more by person-to-person contact, so to say. So even if you were infected and you're in your house, you are quarantined, people outside are saved, from being infected. So in a way, controlling movement controls the virus. So we can't run away from that. But everywhere else where people are trying to control or contain the spread of the virus, it's the same principle. Stay where you are. If you're strong enough, let your immune system clear it. If you come down with adverse symptoms, then you're rushed to special medical facilities set up for that purpose. But otherwise,
special medical facilities.
Yes, set up for that.
Where are the special medical facilities?
I'm coming. I said we should take it
one after the other.
We should take it one after the other. And the other issue you raised is the issue of the test kit, and where you said it seemed to be the exclusive preserve of the ruling class. I beg to differ slightly. Because I do not want to think that government is saying, let's text, those in the ruling class are saying, let's text ourselves so that we are sure we are safe. But I think that the logistics involved with random population texting is also not easy to handle. If you went, look at it this way. If you were to announce now today and say, well, there's a free text going on at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, you would need to have a crowd to manage. You want to avoid crowd. And I think there's just a sensible thing that, well, when people come down with symptoms that look like symptoms of COVID-19, then you can then use your test kit on them. And we also need to ask ourselves the basic questions. How many of these test kits are available in this country? These things are not made here. All right? And what is the cost of an average one? Elsewhere, like in the US, probably may cost just about $1 or so. But that again, because government is involved. You understand the point I'm making? So, and I do not think it is possible to go around everywhere doing random texting. Another issue we also need to look at. I'm trying to be very, very pragmatic here and objective. Another issue I think we also need to look at very clearly is assuming you go around doing random texting, and then you have 1,000 people, for instance, in Benin City texting positive. Where will you keep them?
That's a big challenge.
Where will you keep them? You know, why these are people that ordinarily probably would just be in their houses, and if they do self-isolation, and they probably may be able to, you know, with minimal medical attention at home, we might be able to, with the help of the immune system, clear off.
Okay, okay, but in that respect, don't you think like government really shared some thoughts in the line of action that would be taken, that NYSC orientation camps will be opened as isolation centers, then stadiums will be opened as isolation centers? Could that be thinking ahead of a possible blown up in terms of cases?
Do you just isolate people? Do you have what it takes to provide the necessary care if you are going to create an isolation center? There should be some minimal level of Medicare available in whatever isolation center that you're going to create. Yes, NYSC orientation camps, and most of us know, again, I'm not sure I want to go deep into that. Most of us know that our NYSC orientation camp do not qualify for a proper habitat. Okay,
do not qualify.
For a proper habitat. So, and then you want to put people that are already medically endangered.
Is it not possible that they could be providing facilities in this direction, in such orientation camps?
Until that is done.
Because like the CBN did say that is providing facilities, equipping facilities, you know, in the shortest possible time, within 10 days, as reports have it. And it's going to be cutting across the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Could that not expedite action in that direction?
If you ask me, we just should pray as a nation that this doesn't, you know, go beyond what it is now. Clearly, to be honest, this nation lacks the capacity to cope with it.
Okay, but again, looking at the case where you are a senior pastor of Gracevine Chapel, a clergyman, and in that direction, there is this hope that comes from the pulpit. Can you say, from the spiritual angle, that this is like punishment to the inhabitants of the earth?
Well, I do not want us to go to judgmental. It is true that there is so much evil on the face of the earth. There's no doubt about that. One cannot run away from that reality. But I'm not too sure I'm in the place of God to say that God is punishing the earth. COVID-19 was clearly a human creation. At least that much we know now.
Yeah.
That God is still in charge, absolutely correct. But even if we're going to go to the extreme and say this is judgment upon the earth, the God is also a God of mercy. It only takes for man to also find his recourse back to God and plead for mercy and ask God for forgiveness. And the Bible says, I will abundantly pardon. You know, so that's the kind of God that we serve. So again, if you ask me, if it is a punishment from God, then we have hope that if we cry to God, that God would also take away the scourge from the midst of his people.
Okay, you spoke about human creation, which is still being verified. But in the case where God steps in, that could be tackled.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's nothing that is beyond the ability of God to deal with.
Okay.
But what I don't want us to focus on too much is to say that this is God punishing the earth.
Okay, but again, some argue that this could be signs of the end, that the world is coming to an end.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, Jesus spoke very copiously about that the end time is going to be seen all manner of things, pestilence and diseases in diverse places, and what of you, you're going to be having earthquakes in different forms. And like I always say to people, We have seen this all of the time, you know, and as we move closer to the end of time, more and more of them would come up. Today it is COVID-19. A few years ago it was Ebola. Before then it was HIV and AIDS. We've had the cholera epidemic. We'll have the influenza. We'll always be having them. And it will continue in more worrying proportion as the end of time draw closer.
Thank you. Kason George joining me as TMI Tuesday, and the topic before us is on the outbreak, COVID-19, impact of total shutdown. And I've been having a chat with the senior lecturer, Biochemistry Department, University of Benin, and he's also senior pastor, Grace Vine Chapel. Now, let's come back to Edo State. Basically, looking at the partial shutdown, there are still movements. And there's this argument that, or impression that, if this virus stops moving, then it drastically dies. Now, we still have partial shutdown. Do you think this is in good of the people of Edo State? Well, do you suggest it should be a total shutdown?
This nation does not have the capacity to cope with a total shutdown. We don't, and that's the obvious reality. You know, I've always told people the majority of Nigerians are not sure of dinner until they go out today to look for what to use to make dinner. So how would they cope? I've heard people say, well, stock your houses for as long as this will last, as if you just go to the shop and then you pick things up and you don't pay for them. It takes money to stock your house. And I can tell that the majority of Nigerians don't have up to 20,000 naira in their bank account. Majority of Nigerians. You know, and so how are they going to cope? As I was driving to the studio this morning, I saw people, you know, who were waiting to be hired to go and work. You know,
in spite of the ravaging scourge.
Absolutely, because if they don't go out to work, there'll be nothing to eat. You know, I mean, if we live in more developed clients where government says, okay, stay at home. I mean, people in the US, for instance, are shutting. And government have made adequate plan to ensure that something gets to them at the end of the day that will have to be enough to keep body and soul together. But we are not able to do that here. How do you tell a man with 5 kids at home to take care of, has got a wife to feed, and you say to the man, don't go out, all right? And the man is not on government payroll. He knows that he needs to go out every day to make 5,000 naira so the family can feed. And you say to him, stay at home for 2 weeks. What do you think will happen to him?
A typical example is the protest by some drivers yesterday in Benin Metropolis over this, and that having to carry 3 passengers on a row in a bus could also be a challenge for them. But they can cope with that. But the government should take off some of these tickets that they pay for and all of this. What do you think in that direction?
I honestly think that is very reasonable.
Okay.
I honestly think because if government really want to say don't crowd up the place,
yes.
in fact, again, for majority of people who don't have vehicles of their own, they use the commercial buses, and you can't avoid person-to-person contact once you use that means as your means of transportation. Now, even if you are saying take 3 people in a row, it still runs foul of the expectation.
It still runs foul because proximity is quite a danger.
Because when you're talking about social distancing, you are not talking about 3 people in a row.
No.
Yeah, and if they were going to do 3 people in a row, it means that the income that comes to them has been dropped. And the government is reasonable, and you're saying it should be pay as you earn, in quote, they should also reduce what they pay back to government by way of taxation and levies.
Okay, but let's look at even some shops that are closed down, because what the government did say in the state that, well, for those shopping food items should remain open, but others should be closed down. Isn't that a challenge again?
I think that is about simplifying the problem on ground. Take for instance a woman who sells fairly used clothes. All right? Now, he or she knows that if I don't go to sell today and make profit of 500 naira, my kids won't eat at home. Now, you were saying that the shops that sell food items should be open because we want people to be able to buy food.
Again,
but the people who are coming to buy the food need to have made some money to be able to buy the food. So how would the woman who sells fairly used clothes go to buy food from that same shop for his kids, for her kids at home, if she has not made money herself?
Okay, so what should you be advising the government in this direction? Because you just made mention of it that there are possible issues that even some persons may die out of hunger virus, not even the coronavirus.
Absolutely, and that's the realities.
Okay,
that's the reality. I think government should think out of the box and not just look at stocking food at home, opening shops that sell food items. How do you empower those who make their income on a daily basis, especially those who don't make so much on a daily basis? What do you intend to do, to be able to ensure that they have money in their hands first and foremost before they can go to those same food shops and buy what to eat?
Okay, you are a clergyman, like I did say earlier. How do you organize this in services? Your church services still hold?
Well, truth of the matter is, beginning from next Sunday, will be fully online. What we tried to do last Sunday was to announce that food services, were closed.
Okay.
And then to try to split into multiple services, as it were, to reduce the crowd. Okay. But obviously, we know that starting from our next meeting, we'll have to be fully online, and maybe only the technical crews will need to be around, just to ensure that we are.
Well, they say those who are the clergy are seen as being very close to God. Now, if you are to give a precise date on when this whole scourge will be over, like some prophets do give, what would be your direction?
Those who predicted this coming should predict when it will end. I didn't predict when it was going to start. and I do not think I'm in a place to predict when it will end. But two things come to the fore. First is that this gives us an opportunity for some kind of introspection. Let every one of us search our hearts, whether this was as a result of punishment from God or a man-made error, where we are penitent towards God. God is able to take it with whatever scourge it is, whether you caused it yourself, or it came to you by the act of someone else, or it came to you because God was angry with you. The God we serve is a God of mercy, and He will abundantly pardon. That's one. The second thing is that we should do what we can as a people. Maintain good hygiene as much as you can.
And social distancing.
Yes, social distancing. And I can't emphasize this as much as you can enough, because you really cannot be careful enough.
That's it.
Not to contact this. And again, let me also reach out here to Nigerians. This is a trying time for the nation. In fact, globally, this is a trying time for the world. But much so, let me take a little time to address our people. People are in a hurry to also make sharp money, from this unfortunate incident. And I think that is really, really very, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Just at your gate, I was asked to wash my hands, and I did. And I was going to give me hand sanitizer, and I said, sorry, I won't use it. I went back to my car and got my own hand sanitizer that I had to use to sanitize my hand after washing. And why did I have to do that? Because there are a whole lot of fake hand sanitizers in the market.
And nobody seems to be checking this.
Produced with dangerous chemicals. And people just hand sanitizer, you wipe your hand, and you just may realize that at the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, you may have more serious issues to be dealing with, arising from use of fake hand sanitizer.
Because if you use fake hand sanitizers, it's possible that even the viruses won't go.
Well, that's another point, because number one, people just do, okay, provide this alcohol bill. But if, again, from what I know, if you do not have up to 60% alcohol, you are not going to be able to get rid of the virus. So it's not enough to just pour something in your hand and say, my hands are sanitized. Many of the things we do, we'll just do purely by, this hand sanitizer. And you don't really know what you're putting on your hands. And that, again, I think, if it's possible for government to check that. I was at a place where there was a long queue of people waiting to buy hand sanitizers. And you're not sure what you are buying, for crying out loud.
Okay, but again, government should be seen providing this, like statements credited to the state government over giving this to persons in the villages and all that. Don't you think it should also expand to cities?
Why those in the villages? Why those in the villages?
You're looking at prioritizing it, because you did say that government may not have the capacity to take care of everyone. So if they are to prioritize, aren't they more vulnerable?
If you ask me, the villages are going to be least affected by in the event of any pandemic, in the event of a massive spread of this nature.
Okay.
Because the population there, the population density there is low than what you're going to have in the cities.
Okay.
You know, so.
But they still open markets. Will that not also be an avenue?
Don't we open markets
and again, the hygiene consciousness could be very low in villages. And so if one is affected, it could spread. Are you not thinking about that?
That's why, but whether we like it or not, the rate of spread in the villages will be far, far less than what would happen in cities like Benin or like Lagos. Why is Lagos and Abuja, badly affected? Because of the influx of people from outside. You understand the point I'm making? And the fact that the place is densely populated. But you probably will not be saying so about a village like mine, where you're probably not going to have so many people in the village and houses, sometimes houses are even far apart and so on and so forth. Okay. So I think if you say you want to share hand sanitizers, we should think of doing this holistically if we want to. And if we know we do not want to do it, then let's just think of something better to do. Educating people on proper hygiene, to my mind, will help. If you don't have hand sanitizing, you are conscious of washing your hands every 20 minutes, with some good soap that foams, that probably will help. People should be taught hygiene. It doesn't have to be hand sanitizer.
Okay, let's look at the direction of the government spending. Now, reports have it that the government is spending 15, like the presidential broadcast, 15 billion naira is being dedicated for this purpose. Again, some are saying that, well, this should also call for scrutiny by the public, and the EFCC should go for arrest of some persons who may probably misappropriate. What do you think in this direction, being Nigerians?
Well, I think it's too soon to speak about misappropriation, because and that's one problem we have. We always live in mutual suspicion. 15 billion had been released. The money is being spent, so we should assume.
So we should assume.
So we should assume, except of course you have very clear reasons to believe that such money has not been spent or is not being spent. Nobody has come back to say this is how we have spent it, we have exhausted and so on and so forth. So to my mind, we should keep the checking of the books for the proper data.
For now?
Yes, I think it's too soon to begin to cast aspersion on accused people of embezzlement, even though that may not be ruled out in the average Nigerian parlance because of the way we do our things.
Okay, well, we look at the educational system. You are a lecturer, and bringing education into it, you've always agitated as a union over the government not being proactive, not doing the needful, and all that. We are faced with a global recession. What do you think are the fears that could come as a result of this SCOURGE after we've been able to overwhelm it in terms of salaries, hike or reduction? Don't you think there could be also some adjustment in this direction? What do you think about the government supposed to cope with this?
By adjustment, you mean downward review of
downward
salaries,
review?
upward review, downward review?
What are the possible fears?
Well, I do know for a fact that hard times await most nations of the world. The only nation right now that is smiling, unfortunately, at the moment, smiling with COVID-19 is China, the very home country.
Where it came from.
Where it came from. So all other countries right now are patronizing China for medical supply, for fixed masks and whatever. In fact, I'm aware that within the first few months of 2020, over 9,000 new factories have emerged, businesses have emerged, devoted to the production of face masks. And where are they selling to? Of course, to the rest of the world. So there's no doubt that hard times await most nations of the world, in terms of trying to recover from the huge sums of money we would have spent trying to curtail the COVID-19. But I won't say that. I think there should be sincerity of purpose across board. But I do not think that the average Nigerian worker has enough salary from which government can take anything away from.
Because looking at the mind of the government, it could be in that direction. But let's look at the senators, for instance, who did say that they are taking away 50% of their salaries in that direction. Is it laudable?
Well, First and foremost, when they want to say take away 1 kobo from what I earn, I mean, it's laudable. But the question we should ask ourselves is, what do they earn? I'm not too sure I know.
Okay, because the books are not properly published.
Because it has remained a mystery to the average Nigerian, even though there are figures, you know, that have been thrown around here and there. But laudable, I would say, but the question is, how many Nigerians earn 1/100 of what the average senator earns? And if you take away 50% of your bogus salary and allowances, and you're still able to cope and live as a big man that you are, I would sure that if you take away 5% from the person who earns 30,000 naira, for instance, nobody who earns, you know, as minimum wage right now, who earns that, for instance, are you sure the person will be smiling? The answer is no. You know, we're coming from a place where for several years, government and labor, you know, debated over what should be minimum wage and what should not be minimum wage. And finally, reluctantly, government agreed on a certain figure. And I'm aware that in so many quarters that has not been implemented. And then you want to wake up one morning and say, well, we'll give it before we're taking it back. And you've forgotten that ahead of even implementing your minimum wage, you have jacked up all manner of taxes, you know, to eat up the same money that you claim you were giving to the workers. So I think government should also have human first in whatever they seek to do.
Okay, criticizing the presidential broadcast, mostly in the area of stimulus packages that the president did say is providing to create jobs and to waive off some taxes. What do you think in that direction of the presidential broadcast? Do you see that as hope?
Well, it's proper to stimulate the economy after the economy had rubbish. Even China did that. I'm aware that China, for instance, you know, gave as much as 344 billion US dollars as stimulus package to businesses, you know, within the year. And that's why, like I said earlier, businesses in China are bouncing back. And right now, they are the ones making ventilators for the whole world, making face masks and what have you. Their companies are up and running as we speak, you know. And even though businesses elsewhere are shut down, they are now the one exporting to other nations. As it were, put it this way, they created a virus, so to say, have exported it now to other nations, and now they're exporting medical facilities also to the other nations. It's like making money back from the evil that they have created. So a stimulus package would be a good way to go. But again, government should also be careful to be sure that these are not just political statements, and that the stimulus packages go to the exact sector of the economy that need them, and not those that government just merely want to patronize.
Thank you very much, Professor Jerry, for taking our time to be a part of this show.
It's my pleasure.
Well, it's been TMI Tuesday, and I've been having a chat with Professor Jerry Orue, Senior Lecturer at Biochemistry Department, University of Benin, and also Senior Pastor, Grace Vine Chapel. And we're looking at the COVID-19 scourge, and that again brings a lot of questions on how hygienically conscious are we, and are we keeping to the guidelines of COVID-19, social distancing, hand washing, use of hand sanitizers, and the challenge of having fake hand sanitizers. Well, this is a call to action for government to step in and see how this can be nipped in the bud. It's still TMI. We'll take a short break. Do stay.